All right, in this video, I'm going to be going over the two groups of carnivores that we haven't covered yet, Mustelidae and Mephitidae. I'm going to start with Mephitidae because that's the smaller group and a little easier to get a handle on. These are the skunks plus a couple more species. So the skunks include the striped skunk, which is the one that everyone thinks of, found from, well, across pretty much all of the lower 48 and a lot of Canada into a bit of Mexico. This is one of the species that we will need to identify for this class. The hooded skunk, closely related, found in parts of Southwest United States, but mostly in Mexico and Central America. Besides the striped skunk, though, we have other skunks too, including the spotted skunk. There are 4 species. The western spotted skunk is the one found in the western United States, and that's the one that we're going to cover for this class, Spilogale gracilis. But other ones also found in North America, into Central America. And then in Central America down to South America, we have the hog-nosed skunk, which we don't really need to talk about, but I think it looks really cool. What's really interesting is that all of these skunks that we've talked about are found in North America into South America, yet the family Mephitidae also includes 2 species of stink badgers found only on islands in Southeast Asia. So you can see that they don't exactly look like skunks with the bright black and white colors, but they are in this family, which is very odd. And they, as the name suggests, stink badgers do spray smelly chemicals the way that skunks also do. So moving on to the Mustelidae then, this is a huge group that includes all of the weasels and otters and badgers and a few other odds and ends. It's a big group. It will be I believe the largest family of carnivores we've looked at, or at least the largest family in North America. This is not a skunk, this is a mustelid, the Zorilla or the striped polecat. So this is an example of convergent evolution with the black and white warning colors, and it sprays chemicals just like a skunk, but more closely related to weasels. This is just a cool looking weasel that I threw in here. When we think of weasels, mostly it's the genus Mustela. These are Mustela species from all around the world, including top right, that European polecat is the wild ancestor of domesticated pet ferrets. And then there are other species found in Asia, like the Malayan weasel, or Africa, or South America, and we'll get to the ones in North America. There's also the European mink, not to be confused with the American mink, which it is not that closely related to. But they have similar colors, and so for the fur trade, they were all referred to as mink. These are the small mustelids of Montana that we need to know. So top right, the American mink is actually in a different genus, Neovisin. It used to be in the same genus, Mustela, but then was split off into its own thing, along with the now extinct sea mink that used to live in the Atlantic coast of New England before it went extinct. Anyway, back to the other weasels. We have the least weasel, bottom right, the stoat or short-tailed weasel or ermine, all the same thing, Mustela erminia. And then bottom left, the long-tailed weasel, Mustela frenata. We'll get into identification because these weasels are quite similar, but generally you can distinguish from size and length of tail. Important to note, this picture here with the stoat slash short-tailed weasel slash ermine, you can see the winter and the summer coat. You may be familiar with some animals that change their coats from winter to summer. All 3 of the Mustela species, but not the mink, change their coats in this way. So this is a Mustela species that we are not going to cover in class, the black-footed ferret. And the reason we're not going to cover it is because it's so rare that we don't have any specimens to cover. But it's still a really important species to know. Black-footed ferrets used to be found all over the Great Plains, never in Missoula. They were more of a prairie dog predator specialist. But thanks to prairie dog eradication programs and also diseases, the black-footed ferrets nearly went extinct. They were thought to be extinct until one population was discovered, which was then brought into captivity for captive breeding and then released to the wild. And now they're on the road to recovery, but still quite rare and facing threats from disease, including plague. So it's very unlikely that you walking around in eastern Montana would happen upon a black-footed ferret specimen, but this is what it is, and it's good to know, and hopefully in the future there will be more of them in Montana. Thinking about a little larger mustelids now, let's talk about the American marten, also called a pine marten, and the fisher. The fisher, Picania pennanti, used to be in the same genus Martes as the marten, but was spun off into its own thing. Fishers are quite large. They are really good at attacking porcupines, which is rare. And both of these species have similar ranges, which is to say, mostly boreal forest, but getting down into Montana with our kind of northern Rockies and also maybe Cascades. But otherwise not found in, say, New England or other forests of similar latitude. We don't just have the American marten, there are other species too, including yellow-throated martens, which live from Siberia down to Southeast Asia. European pine martens, which is the reason why we have to say the American pine marten and not just a pine marten. And beech martens also across Eurasia. Sables were very heavily hunted for their skin, for pelts, for fur trade, and are now recovering. There are also mustelids in South America, not martens, but similar roles, Tyra and the Grisson, just to let you know that these exist. The largest mustelid is the wolverine, which we have here in Montana, mostly found really far north, so like northern Canada, Alaska, northern Eurasia. But again, with like the fisher and the pine marten, it gets further south because of our mountains and the forests. So we here in Montana are about at the southern range of the wolverine. Wolverines have these huge home ranges and really low population densities, so it's hard to get an estimate of how many wolverines actually exist. But the estimate I saw of number of wolverines in Montana was pretty low. It was like, I don't even remember now. I think it was a few dozen for the whole northern Rockies. All right, badgers is a kind of general term for stocky, largish mustelids, but this Eurasian badger and the American badger you see here are unrelated to each other, totally separate subfamilies. So we're gonna look here at Taxidae taxus, and I have a short video that I want to show you here of a study done at University of Utah. So this is a dead cow that was set out by researchers who wanted to see what would happen in terms of scavenging and decomposition. And That is one single badger burying an entire cow. All right, so I pointed out that badger is kind of a general term and refers to some unrelated species. So this is another unrelated group of quote unquote badgers. Ferret badgers found in Asia. I have the hog badger also in Asia, and the honey badger in Africa, which is this large, ferocious mustelid that tears open bee nests and has thick skin to stop it from getting stung, and will attack will even scare off lions and other large predators. So the last group of mustelids are the otters. This is the sea otter, which we have off the coast of on the Pacific. And there are also river otters throughout the world. There are river otters in Europe and Asia and Africa, from temperate regions to the tropics, South America, and North America. South America has the giant otter in the top left, which can get up to 5.5 feet long, which is quite a lot longer than our 3.5 foot long North American river otter. Bottom left, Lontra canadensis, one of the species we need to know. So with that, now we've kind of gone over all the different mustelids and the Mephitids. The species that we need to ID for this class from left to right, top to bottom, are Mephitis mephitis, the striped skunk, Spilogale gracilis, the western spotted skunk, Gulo gulo, wolverine, Taxidae taxus, badger, Bacania penanti, fisher, Martis americana, American martin, Lontra canadensis, North American river otter, Neovizin vizin, the mink, American mink. We're not doing the black-footed ferret, Mustela frenata, long-tailed weasel, Mustela arminia, short-tailed weasel, and Mustela nivalis, the least weasel. We covered two families, Mephitidae and Mustelidae. This concludes our kind of tour through all of carnivora. We've covered Procyonidae with the raccoon. We've covered Ursidae with the two bears. We've covered Felidae with the bobcat, lynx, mountain lion, domestic cat. Canidae with the wolf, coyote, and the two foxes, and now all of these species. So that means after this week, we'll move on to the other orders of Montana mammals.